streaming now. Connection. So I don't know if it's in record what I'm saying right now, but there we go. Oh, I'm live. Ha, look at that. Make sure that my microphone's coming through. What's up, everyone? All right, welcome to a live stream, which will contain a presentation to start with, followed by a section of Q&A. I'm hoping that, well, I've got a new setup here, so if there are technical foibles, please give me your feedback. I got a new computer, so trying it out, trying to do the new streaming thing, which should allow me to go back and forth between cameras and videos. So feedback, please. Doesn't matter how ruthless it is. Let's get it on this video here. So that way I can check and adjust from here. All right. First and most probably important question is always, where should I get my miners? So Bobcat is still delivering according to schedule. They're at a 12 to 20 week lead time. They also announced that they have switched to Coinbase Commerce. Audio is a bit low. All right. Well, let's see if I can boost that a little bit. Thank you for that comment. Otherwise, I can just talk louder. Let me know. I'm going to just talk louder and see if that helps. All right. So Bobcat, they have Commerce, the Coinbase Commerce. They were excited to announce that. And as far as I know, it's been going pretty well. I've seen some orders come through. So let's see here. Nebra said that they're opening orders in June. I'm not sure that if this has changed. I've been trying to keep up to tabs on all of the announcements in all the channels and all the manufacturers and stuff. It's getting to that point where it's really hard to keep up with all the information and read everything. So I'm doing my best here, but if you have any more comments, please throw them in the chat and I'll grab them. All right, Long AP, as far as I know, they took orders. I don't know if they've shipped just yet. I did see a picture on Twitter about one of the Long AP units. I believe that's only for, that is only for EU though. So you cannot get them here in the US. So I will not have one. Maybe I would if they send them over to, like, make it the People's Hotspot again. And I do have hosts that are lined up for the People's Hotspot that would love to get those miners in and try them out and give them feedback so I could share that with everyone. There's also Curling from CalChip. I am not sure if they are shipping those out at this time or not. So I have not gotten any performance news on Nebra. I did see that one of the other YouTubers, Jimmy's Promo, had gotten a Nebra. I haven't watched any videos on that yet, so that's something I still need to investigate. I am supposed to get one or two. I think I'm supposed to get one for demo and then another one for the People's Hotspot. So as soon as we get those, I will, of course, let you know, do unboxings and all that kind of stuff. Now, so we have 34 applications total for manufacturers for miners. And I'll put the links out, but I figured, well, let's give this a shot and actually try and share these screens as soon as I get the right ones pulled up here. Give me a second. All right. All right, hopefully you're seeing this screen now. All right, so these are the approved makers. This is just right on Helium's site. And these are the approved ones. You see Smart Mimic. I've seen that as well. It is another name in Discord. I can't remember the name offhand, but they're just realize that. You can probably click on it and find out. So now with this is a really handy link. I pulled this off of Twitter, Helium's Twitter. If you're not following in this space or getting on Twitter at all, you definitely need to. That's where the hottest information kind of flies around. And yeah, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of false information out there too. So you got to be careful. But I mean, if you're following trusted sources, then you'll definitely want to check it out on Twitter. Then these are all the, sorry, I want to go back to this. This is an awesome chart. I want to just applaud anybody or everyone who participated in the making of this. This is very informative. You can see following RAK going across here. You can see that there's actually a lot more. It says legacy process. So I'm assuming that they're just including these in, but of course there are all the way through. But there's other ones that haven't completed the process yet. And I think that this is really great visibility so that if you're looking for miners, you can come in here and see which one is going to come up next. Excuse me. All right. Now, so this is a really handy dandy guide, and I'll put out the link to this as well. Then you can go right to their GitHub and look at all of the applications live and just in progress. Click on every single one, find out all the information. So I really want to kind of give a shout out to all this information for being shared. I love this transparency, and you can see it just as live as it's happening. So yeah, I really like that. All right. Windows back together. And get back to my notes. All right. That's it for where to find miners. Now, next section is support. So what has been the predominant support issue of late since the last live stream? Oh man, it's been a couple weeks, but it's been pretty quiet, honestly. The main issues have been related to relayed and network issues, and I'll cover, actually, I want to cover that right now. Sorry. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. And I want to pull up this app. Now, y'all are really familiar with the Helium the Helium app. This is another one that I really recommend that you try out, the Helium Hotspot utility. And it's the same OG white hotspot icon. And these screenshots are just awesome. And it's very self-explanatory what you do to connect. You press this search or the magnifying glass, and then it will start pairing. So it's the exact same pairing that you do with the Helium app. It does the same thing. And then you can connect with the hotspot right here. And then you type in, you can do the Wi-Fi password. You can configure that. That's one screenshot that's missing in here. In order to configure the Wi-Fi password, there's a button that you press configure. And I'm gonna find some other. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. So you can see this is the first screen once you pair with the miner, that you're able to hit configure here and then type in the password. It also gives you Ethernet status, the name. Obviously, this is not my name. This is just in the app developers screenshots. And then the firmware version. The firmware version is really nice to see what version am I running. Am I running the latest or something that's recent? That's really helpful information. I actually use this app with my hosts instead of the Helium app because this is down and dirty. It gets to write what they need to do. And one of the problems with the Helium app is you have to go through all the setting up of your words, your seed words and stuff. And I just want them to get to this information because this is most of the time what I'm looking for is this diagnostic report. And when you run it. And so this is the screen that I've been working through with a lot of people on the relayed. So outbound, of course, is usually okay, but it's the inbound that gets messed up. And so that means you're relayed. And Explorer is always a little more delayed than what this app says. If you want live results, if you make a change in your router or something like that, go and pair with pair with the miner, and then run this diagnostics report, and you should be able to see the results immediately, not have to wait for Explorer to come back and figure out did it actually work or not. And then blockchain sync, all that kind of stuff. Last challenge, of course, the hotspot firmware again. Here's your MAC addresses. Notice that Wi-Fi and Ethernet have different MAC addresses. If you're not familiar with that, that's usually how it is with all equipment as you're adding it to your network, especially if you have MAC address filtering. And then your NAT type has information on that. And of course, IP address. This one is very useful to have because if you don't know what your IP address is of your miner, you pair with it, and then this will give you that information so that you can go and configure your relayed or your port forwarding. So this is an awesome app. I love it. It's just so down and dirty. It gets right to it. If I could make my recommendation to the Helium team, I would say, like, you know, they have the same information in their app, but I would love it just to be front and center. That way, you know, if you don't own your own hotspot, or if you just want to get right to the diagnostics and you don't want to set up the seed words or anything like that, just be able to get to this information right off the bat. It really is nice for diagnosing problems. Of course, it's always nice to check your HNT balance in your wallet. But yeah, so this is a awesome app. It's available on both Google and also or Android and also iPhone as well. Here for the iPhone. So that is the latest on that. Let's see here. Okay. So next one is the People's Hotspot. Sorry, one more thing on support. Earnings have been down for pretty much no reason. One host was really struggling with connectivity issues. An update was rolled out recently by Helium to improve the network connectivity issues and the NAT issues. So if you that just went out, I think, over the last week. So if you've been really having like problems like a week or two ago, give this a chance and see how it works out. Kind of look at it with a fresh eye. The results are that it's getting a little bit better. At least from what I've seen and working with my hosts. All right, so YouTube commentary. What have the comments been like lately? It's, again, pretty quiet. One of the things I love about my channel especially is that, like, people who are watching the videos, however long they are getting all the information, and they're really not coming back to view the information once they get it. And so they're not commenting as much. So I get a couple questions every once in a while, but by and large, the people who have rolled through my videos have taken all the knowledge, which is awesome. So I just want to give a shout out I took all of my videos just on the kind of the educational ones and put those in a sequence in a playlist. And so if you go to my channel and you see, just click on playlist, and there's one for the People's Hotspot, and then there's also another one for I call it the Helium course. I don't know what to call it at this point, but at some point I will curate that, or I'm going to be curating that and adding videos. But then I'm going to also be replacing one of my videos. I think it's one of the first ones I made was on why are my earnings so low. So I'm going to get that and put that or replace that video, and then basically take it out of that playlist and then put in the new one to replace it. So that way you'll get an updated one. And then plus you won't have to listen to me gulping into the microphone again. Can't believe that. Things you learn when you become a YouTuber. So, all right. Yeah. So I guess just to kind of show that off a little bit more, that this is the Helium network course, and it just starts with the introduction and then goes all the way through. I kind of put it in the sequence that you would probably want to watch it. So if you've got some friends that you want to send them through this to, like, listen to Ed. Ed knows everything, so put that on there. Like send them this playlist, and then they can work through it at their own leisure. And of course, it's always nice to get to these ones in particular, because the outdoor, like if you're going outdoor, these videos are very nice to watch in sequence. So that's definitely, and then of course, once you get done with that, then you're like, oh, is my new antenna better? Because that's pretty much all you're doing once your setup is all, if you're doing an outside setup, is that new antenna better? So just want to shout out for this content and rewatching these to see if, or just checking again, did you learn everything? Or if you missed a video, here's another place to go and get it. I have not done a playlist for all the live streams because it's usually very contextual content, and but I could throw one together too. It doesn't take long. One thing I always want to point out in these videos is, aside from, like, I always get questions, give me the link to this. Well, most of the links are down at the bottom in the description on every single video. If I'm missing a link, if I promise you a link and then I don't put it in there, just throw a comment on there and say, hey, Ed, you missed the link to X, and then I'll go ahead and put X in there. And these are commonly, you'll see the referral links in there. And then if you know of more hosting companies, I'd be happy to show them out. Of course, I do work with Emirate. I don't work for Emirate. But I'm fine throwing out some other hosting companies as well, just to send them more. Somebody asked me the other day, where's the best place to get a miner? And I point blank said, the place that you can get one the quickest. That is where you should get your miner. So if it's a hosting company, go get it from a hosting company. Some HNT is better than no HNT. Am I right, or am I right? And then also on every video, that if there's addendums or I was patently wrong, I will correct that in the video or in the first comment, and I will pin the comment. So make sure you're checking the pinned comments as well. There we go. Cool. I hope that this is working really well for y'all in watching the screen sharing. Again, give me your feedback on that as I'm working through these. All right, pulling up my notes again. The people's hotspot. I did see a thing about a comment about, should we be surge protecting our miners? I will talk about that again, so hold tight here. All right, the people's hotspot. So Puny Pecan Eel will be headed to the great state of Colorado soon. So it'll be leaving its place on the East Coast. So I like this. This was center, east, and then now heading a little bit further west. Funny Gray Seal is now mining in Michigan on a nice tower, and I'll show pictures of that in a little bit. But we had a bit of an issue because this particular miner, Bobcat miner, if you remember and watch the videos, the Bobcat started out with SMA connectors, but the official ones that all of y'all are ordering come with RP SMA connectors. So, but because of that, they didn't expect that, and I forgot to let them know that this was an issue. So they had to go and buy an adapter, and those adapters can set you back a couple days of earning. So now, luckily, you can just order that, and then it takes another day and a half or whatever to sync fully. So there was time. So that it's not like they were down for any time or not much time. So their current host is going to include an adapter for future hosts. So thank you, current host. Digital Lava Dragon, the current host has been waiting on their Nebra, and I'm asked really often about when will this go on to the next host, and the only answer is soon. I don't know. We're all waiting for hotspots from Nebra, those of you who are on the list. So that is all I can give at this point. I would love to get more EU miners. So yeah. New next one is there. Now it's not named yet. We will announce the name later. But there is an Australia miner going to Australia. So we'll cover locations. I've already got a queue started for potential hosts for the People's Hotspot in Australia. So that's going to be fun. And I think I learned as well that it can hop over to New Zealand and back. I hope. We'll have to get, if you know some more about that, let me know. And then we, let's see. Yeah. So that's it. So now, woof, so I shipped it out the other day, and it cost me $200 to send over to Australia. And as we learned with shipping the Dragon over to the UK, that cost me, I think it was like $140 in shipping, and then it was like another 100 and some bucks at least for customs fees. I don't know why that like I thought I had everything coded appropriately such that there wouldn't be anything on customs, but I don't know, for some reason it is. So okay. So the first host split the customs costs with me, but for this next one, we'll see what happens. But we'll probably maybe get reimbursed from the community fund. I did check in with all of the hosts, and I'm really intentional on this. I really want the proceeds for the community fund to be agreed upon by current and former hosts. So I'm checking with them, and so it's a very trust-based initiative. So like that. All right, so let's go through the People's Hotspots, each of them, and take a quick look at them. There we go. Okay, so this is Puny Pecan Eel, and some things I want to highlight about this. The last 30 days, 42 HNT. I'm sure that one day we'll look at this video and be like, oh my gosh, that was so much. Some other things to note on here, obviously the score. Now, I haven't really covered any of this in my videos. I do talk about it in the why are my earnings so low? This means that there are too many hotspots in one location, basically in that area around Puny Pecan Eel. These other miners are too close. So basically it's calculating a reduced earnings score. So even at 0.38, it's earning pretty well. I'm sure that some lone wolf would be like, I'd love to have that. And then the other part is it's relayed. So not every host wants to, and I can't remember if this host wants it to be relayed or if this is just something that they've still been working through. But this is, again, the important part. And if you miss this, or you want to go and figure out, I have a video just on how to fix the relayed flag, and then also use that app that I showed earlier in the live stream. This one, yay. That one's very handy. So, all right. So that's Puny Pecan Eel. How many witnesses are we got? 21. 21. That's awesome. So I think I talked about it previously, but one of the things we were able to do is coordinate with what is it called? Discovery mode. So we were able to coordinate discovery mode so that they could maximize their placement. They're like, what if I put it here on this box? You know, if I raise it a little bit higher, or what happens if I move it over to the shelf? So we were able to use discovery mode a couple of times to increase coverage. So that was a good move in helping the hosts earn more. So that's really great. So if you're a fleet owner, working with your host to improve it is easy money. Easy money. Right now you get 5 free usages of discovery mode per day. So that is awesome. So check that out. All right, next one is Funny Gray Seal. Now, if you remember, Funny Gray Seal had been over on the West Coast for a while. So it went from, I think, Baltimore to LA area, now back to the middle in Michigan. This is so much fun. I like watching all these different places and imagining, well, what does it look like in that location? And so, so like some of my hosts are very willing to hand out information on, within some respects, but I always ask them, and they send it to me, and I still ask, can I share this? Because I want to make sure that it's okay. So this host did offer some images. So, but before we get to that, just checking. Oh, this is relayed. So that's an opportunity to do some port forwarding, messing around with. And just to reiterate, this slows the network down. And so as I heard somewhere, about half the network is relayed and the other half is not. So if you think about it, basically, half of the hotspots around you are carrying the other half. And so if you want to improve it, or if you're a fleet owner setting up on a small town, make sure that that might be a selling point for getting them to get relayed off, is like, oh, you might be hurting the Johnsons over there or something like that. So always good to point that out, but definitely at a one score. So that's really nice. And they've now, I think that these earnings you can see here, this was when it was at the former host. So this is the new host right here. So I think it's only 2 or 3 HNT so far. So, but yeah, right. Zoom out here. So right, off Lake Michigan here, I think. Oh no, a little bit different. I was thinking over here. So this is interesting. All right. To learn new places on the United States map. So this is fun. Okay, let's get to those pictures. Let's check witness count here real quick. 1 witness so far. And hopefully that will change, and maybe we'll do some discovery mode too. But we have to fix relayed before we do discovery mode. So here are the pictures. So they have it on this awesome tower. Check that out. Man, I wish I had that on my setup. I've actually got another host, not for the people's hotspot, that is considering doing this because they live out in the country. So they have a little bit easier time to do this. So very cool. Very cool. You can see that the grounding is coming down there as well. So it's a grounded setup. So that's awesome. Here's a view. I'm not sure which direction this is, but probably look it up on satellite view and figure it all out. But yeah, so very nice setup. Nice and elevated. And then you can see that there's power lines over here. So this is from the other direction. But yeah, going all the way down. So very cool. And thank you for providing pictures so that we can all look at them, because this is a really cool installation. See, there's some supports there too. Ooh. Zoom in a little bit more. So reinforcing support. Now, I do know that sometimes there's restrictions or something like that. You might want to check city ordinances, because sometimes they require, for anything that can be climbed over so many feet, you have to have a fence around it of like so tall or something like that. But it's just something to keep in mind. All right, now off to the Dragon. I love the Dragon. I love the names. Like Funny Gray Sail is good. I didn't too much care for Uni Pecan Eel, but whatever, it's fine. There's a hotspot, and it's helping people along the way. So Digital Lava Dragon, though, is pretty freaking awesome. I'm excited about that. Okay, so check in the rewards, 92 HNT. Now, I don't think any of this is consensus activity that I remember. I know that this host did hit consensus a while back, I'm pretty sure. And I think I covered that in a previous stream, but yep. You can see this is the daily count. So the last 30 days, you can see, it took a dive, and it was even down to 0, I think, one day. And I think that this was just when there were lots of network issues going on. And so they had to recover. The host didn't do anything different. It was just the network that had to recover. And you can see that slowly coming back and dialing up the earnings. Look at that. It's almost linear at that point. That is interesting. All right. Anything else? Witness counts. 3 witnesses. One of them. Wow, look at that. What is that? 20 kilometers? 30 kilometers? That's nice. See if we can check actually how far that is exactly. No, it doesn't look. There we go. 31 kilometers. So nice. I believe this is off a 6.5 dBi antenna, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check with the host and see if that's correct or not. Okay, so on to the last one. Yet to be named is going to be somewhere in this area over here, I believe. But I've had other hosts or people get in contact with me for hosting in Melbourne and Perth. So it's going to be awesome to have it going all around here. I hope to get some pictures of the landscape too. I've never been here, so I would love to go someday. All right, so that's it for the People's Hotspot. Yeah, it's gonna get longer with more miners that I add, but it's awesome that we can go all around the world like this. So I talked about on Twitter, I send a journal along with each one. So every host can, it's almost like a reverse guest book that the guest book comes to you, and then you can sign and write some notes to future hosts, or eventually I'll ask when the program or the project ends, I'll have them sent back to me just for that sentimental value. So yeah, back to the show notes. Think tank speculations, where are we headed soon? Didn't have a lot to share here, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, there is some more to share. So the biggest news is validators are still coming. If you don't know how to stake crypto, you definitely really want to learn about that. If you don't have the 10,000 HNT, that's okay. There are pooling services available. And as roughly as I can explain it, though, as far as staking goes, is it's much like a CD or interest that you'd earn on a savings account. I'm probably giving that a horrible analogy. And there are plenty of other crypto YouTubers out there. In fact, drop your links to your favorite ones, and I'll try and compile a list and throw them in the comments for other crypto noobs out there. Also, DY just announced their grants, and I thought I had this pulled up, but I realize I may have not. So I will pull it up right now. All right. So they announced their grants. So this was over $500,000 of funding was awarded to 16, and they had 150 applications. Yours truly was among those. I did not get accepted. They didn't do any educational grants this round, which is totally cool. You look at these projects and they're like, oh yeah, that's totally worth the time and money there. So yeah. What are these projects? They're revolving around these themes: network expansion, security, novel use cases, blockchain and token infrastructure, and coverage analytics, which is awesome. So 5G, that of course is a big thing. So that's gonna be working with FreedomFi, and the grant award will enable their gateways to be compatible with the Helium network. So I did get a question on Twitter the other day about, am I going to have 2 miners in an enclosure? And no, if you get the FreedomFi, it will actually be both. So you'll be able to mine HNT on both like IoT coverage and also the Helium network's 5G coverage, which is really cool. This one's going to secure wireless spectrum access in Kenya. So I assume there's a lot of, politicking or support of things that are going on to expand the network. And there's a lot of times where people are asking, can I get miners here? Will they work here? And the answer is no, not right now. So this will help fund that expansion, which is cool. It's going to be and just getting out this way is going to be awesome. Inroads to places that don't have IoT coverage is going to be great. So it's a lot to be excited about there. Proof of coverage security. Hey, we don't want people unfairly mining HNT. We all work hard for that. So that's going to be another one. So there's ag stuff going on, greenhouse aquaponics. This is awesome. I'm so excited to see what comes of these projects. If you know these people, I suppose I could contact them and be like, hey, let's get together and hear more about it. I'd be happy to share some information. And there's lots more stuff. Building a Kubernetes config for validators. Oh my gosh. I would love to know Kubernetes more. If you've got training videos on that you'd recommend, totally drop links to the course. I'd love to check into that. Develop an HNT browser wallet. I also saw something on here. I'm just kind of skipping through this now. Am I covered? Coverage mapping. We'll kind of talk about that in a bit. Host-to-host chat functionality. Interesting. Wonder what will go on there. So you can read all these comments. I'll throw this in the links. So that is that. So DY, yay to all the people who got grants. That's awesome. And there is another batch coming out as well. So yeah, exciting for them. It's always nice to get money to build your dreams, right? So, okay, let's keep going here. And those projects aren't speculation at all. That's 100% funds headed to those, support those initiatives. Last item in this list of, I don't know, it's whatever, but I thought it was a nice way to show this. So, yay! I have a Helium developer kit. So I'm going to be experimenting with this thing. I don't know everything there is to know about this, and like this looks pretty complicated to me, but I'm excited to learn, and I write some code. So yeah, I've talked about a couple ideas in some earlier videos about what I'd like to do here. So that is exciting. So if you want to get one of those, you can of course get them from RAK Wireless, or if you're in the US and you want faster shipping, you can get them from Parley Labs. Of course, always appreciate the referrals. So if you use the RAK referral link, that would be awesome. But I support any amount of investigation and development that goes in the network. All right, special topic. What's been creating the most buzz of late? Well, thanks for your patience as I took a few weeks off. What did I do during that time? I installed 3 RAK enclosures with hosts and placed a few others as well. So I'm going to do a video on the RAK enclosure exclusively, but I wanted to compile some notes specifically on that, on the enclosure. So, but I'm going to put together, or I wanted to share some quick notes on that. Make sure you're always putting the enclosure lid on last. You need to verify all that connectivity. If you put the thing on and then you put it up there and you're like, oh, it works, and then you find out you're not mining, you're going to be frustrated, and you have to take all those screws out. So that was pretty frustrating. I did that on the first one. Use appropriate grounding. I found an Ethernet grounding box on Amazon that I'll share the link to. There's actually like 4 different Amazon links I'm gonna show here in a second, or in a minute, of stuff that I used in some of these installs. Always ensure that Wi-Fi is configured as a fallback in case your Ethernet wiring fails for some reason. That's just a general tip that could apply to anything. I did use, as far as wiring schemes for the Ethernet, I used the T568A wiring. For some reason, the B wiring behaved oddly for me. I didn't think that there was a difference between the two, and I'm sure that I'm going to get corrected and somebody will throw it in the comments about it. But that was what seemed to work for me. So that's what I did. The easiest places I've been able to thread Ethernet through is through the air conditioner conduit hole in the side of the house. So that's where I'd recommend checking first if you don't want, or if your host or you don't want to drill a hole in the side of your house. I did do one of those as well, and I always think I could do a better job the next time. So there's a science to drilling right through the side of the wall. Let's see here. I was advised that sometimes the PoE injector and splitter don't mesh well with gigabit routers. So the enclosure comes with a PoE injector and splitter, but it's meant for 10100. And so for some reason it may have problems. At least that's what was reported to me. I tried it out and didn't experience any issues, or it was same performance between the two. So one host was having network issues. So I'm currently sending them one to try. And after much, like a lot, like to the point my fingers hurt after of crimping my own Ethernet, I decided pass-through terminators are the easiest. So unfortunately, I don't have any with me on hand that I could show you, but basically this is just an end cap, but pretend that the Ethernet is here. So you can pass the wires through and then the wires come out the other end, and then you can clip off the ends. So really recommend those pass-through connectors. It's so much easier. Of course, it took me a lot of time to thread that through correctly. So in doing that, make sure your terminating tool crimps them 100% every time. The one that I ordered brand new, and I'll show you in a second, I'd still recommend it. It has a nice handy wiring diagram on there, multiple wiring diagrams actually. And so my brand new one worked very well most of the time. And so, but a couple times it wouldn't crimp them all, or I would bungle it as it goes into the crimper, and then it would kind of dull the edges a little bit. So there's some more stuff I need to investigate there. Then for any install, whether you're doing a rack enclosure or not, I highly recommend getting a mapper. I did, so I spent some time doing some coverage mapping as well. These help verify that the signal is working and also show coverage while you're working on that enclosure. And then once you get it up, then you at least get one beacon, placed on the coverage map. I know of other fleet owners who place a water sensor or another IoT device with every single install, just to have another means of ensuring uptime. And so definitely recommend that. All right, we are at 40 minutes of talking. I'm going to show a couple more links here really quickly, and then we'll go to our live Q&A. So here. Okay, so this is the so in regards to the rack enclosures, this is the surge protector grounding apparatus that I used on a bunch of installs. I don't know the long-term quality of this, but this is what I ended up working with. So if you have any reviews of this specifically, let me know. I'm not willing to say that I recommend this yet. This is just what I used to try out. So basically you just put one in from coming from your house, goes to the in, and then the out goes up to your enclosure. And then you definitely want to pay attention to this. In the direct center of this is the grounding cord. So you definitely want to ground it. That's the most important point. That's why we're doing this. So yeah, it's very tiny too. The bottom part here has a kind of a bladder to it. And so you have to poke through the bladder and get all of your cords through there. So that was it was a little bit of a tight fit to get everything wired up appropriately. But I know that there's other manufacturers of these devices. I think a friend was telling me about Ubiquiti makes one. So free to check that out. Oh yeah, these are the pass-through connectors that I was talking about. So basically it goes right through the jack, and then you crimp it, and then it crimps automatically. And I do recommend the shielded cables, or the shielded terminators. When you're going outside with these, definitely recommend shielding everywhere. That's just one small tip. The Ethernet cable that I got off of Amazon, I can pull that link up later. It was basically shielded Ethernet cable. I don't think it was underground rated, but it was definitely outdoor rated and had UV rating on it or something like that. So next one, this is the crimper tool that I used. You can see that it has the wiring diagrams on there for you. So it's nice and handy, because I would always have to have my phone out to look at those. So this makes it easier, and just putting it on the freaking tool, how much easier could it get? So it also do the RJ11, which is that phone jack, I think. I don't know. So yeah, I love crimping my own Ethernet. Every house that I've ever lived in, I've always crimped my own and networked the whole house, or as much as I could. So definitely recommend this. Of course, if you're doing this, you definitely need an Ethernet testing tool as well. But the thing that they don't, let me see here. Yeah, there we go. Pull up one of these other, of course they don't show it. So the pass-throughs go through there, and what you can't see is right below is that there is a little blade that comes up and clips all those pass-through wires. It clips them right off. So it's nice and fully terminated. So yeah, good stuff. If you've got better ones that you want to recommend, throw them in the comments and I'll check them out later. And then lastly, for a couple installs, we were interested in uptime. So this is the UPS that I've used on a couple of them, and just recommend, this is just one more thing to put in your basket of, if you lose power or you lose, if you lose power, then you're down. You can't mine for a while. And remember, you want to check all points of connectivity in this. So it's not just your miner that needs power. It's also your router. Anything that supplies internet along the way is all stuff that you definitely want to try and have wired to something like this. So definitely recommend having one or a couple of these for every power failure point in your setup. This also does surge protection as well. So it has another purpose to it. On this particular one, there's some for battery plus surge, and then there's another 2 outlets just for surge only. So that's nice if you have other devices that you're like, no, I don't care if the power goes off to these, I'm good. So recommend that. All right, let's get to those questions. So if you've got questions, throw them in the chat, and we'll spend just a couple minutes on this as we finish this up. I'm going to scroll through some of the previous questions while. What's up, Ed? Are you in Helium's Discord? I am. You can find me on there currently as EdB-Charlie Tango. But I am on there, and you can hit me up on there. I don't know the warranty for Bobcat information. I would assume it's a year, but that's a blatant assumption. I don't know. Is there any way we could just open the port while we are configuring it from the get-go? Oh, I wish that would be a thing. Unfortunately, that is controlled by your firewall. So your firewall protects you from bad things on the internet. And so you have to, that's your point of control, or your mechanism for configuration of that port. Of course, waiting a couple more weeks, and this is what I've seen a lot of people do, is they don't want to do that. So they just wait, and they're going to wait until validators come, and then nobody will need to have it relayed. In fact, I think a lot of people will forget to remove their port forwarding. So that's a reminder, throw something on your calendar. If you're, have a calendar or an alert on your phone in a month or so, just to check, hey, are validators out such that I don't need port forwarding anymore? If so, then go ahead and disable it. Just toss that reminder forward. What to do if the power goes out to your RAK router or your RAK miner, and all miners. That's the thing I showed there at the end, the battery backup and surge protector. Have I had to fix a relayed miner? Yes. Yeah, I had to implement port forwarding on even my own ones that I'm running. So yes, I've fixed them. And also I've coached hosts who have successfully fixed their own, and also hosts that could not fix their own and they're still relayed. And some of them are doing it intentionally. So it's just what happens. Can anyone recommend an inexpensive UPS? I did see a comment later about getting one at Costco for under $200, and they said that's Canadian dollars. How do you use Discord? So you download Discord and install it, create yourself an account, just like you check any email online, and then you go and find the link to the Helium Discord. I put it in the comments almost every video, I think. At least I've tried to put that in the description. So go ahead and check that out. Discord's an amazing place. It has so much more information than I can give. I'm regularly crawling through there and getting information. So, whew. My voice is starting to crack. We got 50 minutes. Yeah, this is a long one. Thanks for sticking with me, people. If not, check it out later and view it. Where in your house do you ground the antenna? I'm not an electrician. Well, I'm not an electrician either. So, hey, don't worry about downloading Discord and not understanding it. It's a little tough. I would say ask some friends or ask some people or drop some questions later of like what are you having problems with specifically in the comments, and I can help you there. All right, so back to the ground your antenna. So I have a couple of videos showing how I grounded the antenna. So you want to have some grounding cable. Actually, this might be a good one to switch to another idea that I have. Although we'd lose audio, so I'm not going to do that. I can show a whiteboard. So at least I think I can. Let me try this. There. Apparently, I am sharing the whiteboard. So this is actually from an install that I was coaching a host to finish the grounding for me. So you don't see much other than this is the enclosure clamped on a pipe, and I was showing the grounding specifically. So you can see that the antenna, and then there's an arrestor, and then there's a grounding cable that is, and you can do the lighter gauge, but I do recommend, at least in the newer installs, I am putting heavier gauge on them instead of the light gauge. But I have both, and one of the hosts actually went out and bought like 100 feet of the lighter gauge stuff. And so I'm just going to use it because they're like, we don't have any use for this, so here, we'll donate it to you. And okay, I can run with that. So, but yeah, so you use that light gauge off the arrestor, or you can go heavy gauge, and then you might just need a new little converter for going to the lightning arrestor, like an L bracket, a copper L bracket. They sell them in the electrical section. I don't recommend the crimping ones because if you crimp it wrong, you can go through a bunch or it can corrode, and then you could solder your own. That's another idea, but getting it all the way from the arrestor down to the ground, and then you need to connect to something in the ground that you can see at the bottom. There's this heavy ground cable. So that's your big one. And if that goes all the way to the top to your arrestor, great. If not, then use a grounding clamp and then go all the way down to your grounding rod. If you want to go to a grounding rod, or if you want to tie into existing grounds, you want to be careful around your electrical boxes. Of course, digging is always, you got to check to what you're digging into. But most of the new houses code have required grounding rods to be installed, or some grounding mechanism. Some are grounded to the water supply. So you might want to check out where your electrical system is grounded to. And there are also little apparatuses you can buy on Amazon that will test, and in your electrical store or hardware store, that will test the ground in your home. So if your home is grounded, then follow wherever that goes and figure out where that is. So, yeah, that's how you would ground it. So this is fun. I have all these new tools and fun things I can show now with getting a new computer. So, all right. Placement. Oh, hey, yeah. One of our hosts is commenting that they were hosting the People's Hotspot, and they just made 200 HNT in just about 3.5 weeks just off their placement. So you can see that if they would have experimented with that at the beginning, and that's why I love the People's Hotspot, is because it gets you, like, you're learning on my dime, and while you're in weights, because if you would have gotten your minor and then you would have had to wait that much longer, then that really sucks. You could have had all that HNT. So this is really important, and experimenting with placement is super important. And another shout out for discovery mode, because that really helps you iterate through your setups. And I think at this point in time, this host wasn't hosting, or they didn't have discovery mode out yet. And so we couldn't experiment with that. So that would have really helped iterate. So each of the hosts now that host the People's Hotspot, I totally offer, hey, I will totally do this discovery mode with you, and you can experiment in up to my 5 times. So yeah, just got out from crawling under the house, ran some Cat 8 and ripped out some OG Cat 5. Wow, nice. Yeah, routing, it's so fun and so awesome to route your own Ethernet cable. Like, I want this cable to go there and connect these things. So I have most of the stuff in my house wired up by myself. It's awesome. Yeah, I love hearing people get their miners. That's so exciting. I was so excited when I got my first miner, my own miner. And actually, I still have a couple on hand that were my own that I bought back in November that finally got to me. So, have I tried Helium Track? I have not. I'll have to check that out. Put a link in the comments. How much data is sent over your internet connection? I haven't checked on this in a while. I believe it was tantamount to a couple Netflix movies a week. So, you know, like, you're just living with someone who streams Netflix for a decent amount of time. I want to say it was like 3 gigs, 6 gigs, something like that. Please, other people watching, throw in your own comments. Join the Helium Patron Alliance. So is that like, I know that there's patron tags in the Helium Discord. I thought it was like you had to own 25 miners at some point or something like that, but I could be wrong. So I saw something that said send them an email to be a member of a patron program. So I emailed them. We'll see what happens. Ed, thanks for everything you're doing with the Helium community. I have 3 Syncrobit and 2 Nebra on the way. Any advice on business propositions for hosting? Oh my goodness. That is a tough one. Figuring out what works for people, if they don't understand crypto at all, you know, figuring out what works for them. I try and go back to the point of, hey, this will make right now, it'll make a lot of money. So what's worth it for you? Because they need their foot in the door. I've had some luck with just, hey, try this out. Can you try this out? They've been watching, you know, a couple of my YouTube videos, and then they say, hey, this is actually working well. When can I get my own? So other times you can work 50-50, but as soon as they understand like actually how much it's getting for them, it becomes a little bit more tough of a conversation. So I'm all for decentralization of the network too. I like when my hosts are like, yeah, I want to own it on my own. And so then, okay, great. Let's figure out a route to go that way and what works for you. And oh, you want to science up your setup? Okay, here's how you do it. And then I give them some links, and if they want to do it on their own or whatever, just figuring out what works for them and how you'd like to deal business. And then as you grow your network, they're going to tell other people about what it was like to work with you and what are, you know, of course, that like, this is what I did. And so yeah, definitely recommend trying, experimenting, getting started, because you never know how it's going to grow. And it's really awesome to try it out and see what happens. Get more people signing up with you and moving hotspots around, even getting hosting companies involved in that. I heard of someone this past week. I logged on. I think Simon was actually there. I didn't get a chance to meet up with him though. He was saying that he had a whale contact. And a whale, if you don't know, is a crypto term for someone with a lot of money. I don't know. I don't understand it all either. But basically, they had a huge supply of miners, and they're like, I'm only intending to make X% off of these, but I want you to do that. I want you to find hosts for me. I'll just send the miners your way, and then you can figure out all the people. I just want to make X amount of profit. And so they were basically getting like, I don't know, it was like 50 to 100 miners to a bunch of point where it just wow, I was really impressed that people are just, hey, you do all the work and I just want a percentage cut. And the percentage cut was like, I may be wrong. It was like 10 or 20% or something like that. I was like, wow, that's not bad for, to take a little bit extra and then they get to actually host it or something like that. I think they just wanted their cost back plus 20% or something like that. So very cool. Where did you get a shirt? I don't know if you're talking about this shirt or another shirt. This I think I got at Walmart. I like solid colored shirts, just plains like whatever Hanes t-shirts. So, yeah. I did catch a live stream last week on Twitter. So again, I'll say get on Twitter. That was fun. It was a interview with Amir Helium, and they were talking over beer and having a good old conversation. So I thought that was really fun to like listen in on. And they had just heard about Helium like a month or two ago. And so it was really interesting just to hear that perspective of like, people are still, this is brand new to some people. Like, it's almost like we're in like a weird corner of the universe, and here it's all of our world, right? And we watch YouTube videos on this, and here people are still hearing it fresh for the first time, and like, what is helium? And so that's a fun question, which is like, you want to test yourself, is ask that to yourself and have you explain it. What is helium? Good activity. So I got to hear that. How would I explain to a neighbor what IoT devices or IoT things are? So the way I do that is I basically just relate it to sensors. So I talk about, let's see here. I talk about dog collars, package trackers, water sensors. I've heard of insurance industry actually sending water sensors for free out to the people who are buying insurance from them to reduce claims. And it's literally like saving insurance companies millions of dollars by putting these sensors. And they're not IoT ones. These are Wi-Fi ones, which I'm like, oh man, helium would be so much better application for this. And there are water sensors available for helium. So it's just going with those examples. And of course, I like other ideas of, air. The Emirate just announced a partnership with Planet Watch. So you can somehow, and the details aren't released yet, but you can earn Planet crypto by using these devices. So it's really cool, air quality sensing. So yeah. Let's see here. Have I had any experience using my miner on Wi-Fi? Yes. In fact, I do all of them with backup to Wi-Fi. I do recommend that you have both, but it has not been very great on Wi-Fi. It's been actually pretty spotty. I know with the RAK miner is the recommendation is actually to take the top off. So if I put that in the if I put it in the enclosure, I will take off the top just in case that it wants to kick over to Wi-Fi, and then that will at least provide a little bit extra coverage. I don't want it going down at all as much as possible. So that's what I recommend, is just take the top off the RAK miner and then anchor it in there well. And with each enclosure that I put in, my mounting mechanism got better. The first one, I just kind of put it in there and like took the enclosure and okay, it's in, and then tightened all the things. But the next ones I actually zip tied down and did a much better job of that, of cable management and stuff. So, oh man, great times. So the things you learn. So again, I'll cover that all in a RAK enclosure video. But yeah. All right, we are over an hour. I can't believe that. Longest stream ever. It's been 2 weeks. We can go a little bit long. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let me get back to my show notes here to close things out. So thank you for all your questions and supporting of this great community of the People's Network. I'd like to encourage you to get involved by helping answer questions others ask in either comments on my YouTube channel, or get on the Helium Discord. For the one person that was having trouble with getting Discord installed, let me know. I'll try and help you out a little bit in the comments. And also, please give feedback after this live stream in the comments. What did you like? What did you not like? And are there any suggestions? So I got a new computer, so we're doing some more different stuff, sharing different screens and stuff. So love the feedback. And then of course I'll drop the links to as much as I can that I covered today in the comments or in the description of the video. And if I'm wrong, of course, I'll pin a comment on it. Of course, I'll continue to curate that as we go forward. And then I would invite you to check out my referral links. It always helps to help out with your referral. And wherever you purchase your miners or purchase your equipment, I hope that you will consider thanking me in that way. So also the usual YouTube thing, please like this video, please hit subscribe, and till next time, peace.